Gus, we're back.
Not Max again! Are you kidding? Bradshaw! He's had a good couple of minutes.
Gibby, what do you got for us?
You could let's be clear about this.
You lost to $2,000. Welcome back to Gus and Gawny, circa 2022.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Well, when you say it like that, sends shivers down my spine. I remember the last time we did one of these was in West Australia. Probably the best special guest we've ever had.
Yep, that got a lot of traction, I think.
Yeah, I bet it did.
You see the one where they did a meme sort of video and they put the mouth on the cup?
Yeah,
It was very
I
funny.
did. One of our people got stuck into it.
I'm sure it was one of our people.
One of the friends of the podcast.
What have you been doing? And welcome
back, Gibbo. How could we forget?
How could you
sort of?
forget?
Yep.
I'm shocked. Nah, it's great to be back. I survived the internal review.
Yep.
I was pretty confident, and yeah, there's butterflies to be back.
Well, we had 7 people in the review, and 2 voted heavily against Gibby being dropped.
Yep,
And he had 5-4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how it sort of works. We've always known this is less of a democracy, more of a communist sort of setup. So that was always bound to happen at some point. But we're back, and I'll tell you what, just in my daily comings and goings, a lot of people sort of wondering when or if this show would even come back to the people. So
Well, I must say, when we started the show in 2020, I didn't think we'd still be here in 2022.
no, so it begs the question: what's to come? What's going to change? And we'll go through all of that. But
Where do we start?
Where do we start? It's been a while. Jeez, it's September last year. So what's that? Nearly going on 6 months or so.
Wow, it's been 6 months since we held the cup up.
Yeah,
not quite.
and interviewed it. Well, maybe just a little bit less,
Yeah.
just shy of 6 months. But so much has happened in between.
Well, you've moved in with Danielle.
Well, I mean, that's probably not the best place to start. Let's go
think-
in order of importance.
No, I think we should. Well, godfatherhood probably is
Yeah, number one.
the best
So,
thing that happened to you.
well, that's a reverse order. Yeah, the best thing that's happened to me. I'm now a godfather
Yep.
of young George Gawn, Georgie boy.
Yep.
So that was great.
And what sort of roles do you do as a godfather?
So I, at the moment, if you went down with a mysterious illness and were unable to fulfil your husbandly and fatherly duties, I'd be there for Jess and George.
You'd stand in as husband.
I'd be a shoulder to cry on.
Okay.
I'm sure there'd be a lot of tears, a lot of stresses, and she'd have my full support. And obviously, I have to raise young George as my own, which I'd have to do.
On the list at Royal.
Yep. So I've got a few things just ready. I've got a few triggers ready to pull if that does eventuate. But hopefully, touch wood, we've got you around for a bit longer. You became a father. It's weird that we went in this order, but you fathered up.
Well, you do seem more excited for what you did than compared to. Well, yes, I became a father.
You famously said something along the lines of missing the birth of the child for the Premiership Cup. You'd know exactly what you'd do if you had the time over again, and that would be...
Well, I put it this way.
Please.
If Jess would have been 37 weeks at the time of the grand final, so there's a chance, but probably not a chance. So we talked about it, and I said, I have given 13 years of my life trying to win a flag.
Well, maybe the first couple of years where you were smoking darts on the way in the training. So
Yeah.
let's say 10 to 11.
10 fully committed.
Yeah, sure.
13
In total.
technically.
13
years, blood, sweat and tears trying to win a flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, me and Jess made George in 3.5 minutes.
Sure. and when you put it like that, I'm not sure what the ratio is, minutes to how many minutes are in 13 years, but I understand what you're saying. I'm sure she would have loved hearing that too. So how is it so far?
But when you put it like that,
Yeah,
you gotta
mate.
pick the flag.
Don't worry, I'm
And
picking the flag.
She picks George, but to be fair, she hasn't played in a flag.
And that is a good point.
Yeah.
So Jess, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are,
She was in a miserable basketball team for 5 years, apparently, from under 14s to 19s, and they never got anywhere.
well, she wouldn't get it then.
No.
Well, so how has it been for you?
He's 4 months old, almost, just shy. And to be honest, he's a pretty good kid. I think I may have a Guinness World Record for hours slept by a newborn dad.
Gee whiz, that's impressive.
I have not woken up once.
So when you say that, obviously...
So you're everyone in this room. I'm the only one with a kid in the room. So early on, especially in the first 2 months, they're like every 2 hours they're sort of waking up. So like And when they wake up, it's quite loud. Like it's, well, I don't know actually, but Jess says like it's quite loud.
So that's what I was about to ask. So Jess, not only has Jess not won a flag, played in a terrible basketball team.
She hasn't slept, and she hasn't slept for 4 months.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
if you ask this question to Jess, how's motherhood? She probably wouldn't
she'd be
answer.
pretty
it
tired.
Yeah.
She'd be asleep.
Yeah, she actually won't listen to this because she's asleep.
That's all right. So good. It sounds like all things are going well.
Yep.
You said something about me moving in with. Did you say Danielle?
Yes. So topical in
heaps
last
of
year's
speculation.
podcast. Speculation.
Heaps of speculation.
We weren't sure if you and Danielle were ready to make the next move. You weren't sure yourself. You told me that off air a lot. Mm-hmm. But it's happened and probably forced upon. No, sorry. I want to get this politically correct, just in case.
Yeah,
Danielle she is a big listener of the show.
She's a big listener. I bet she's listening.
You wanted to move in, but you were forced to move in as well because Trenners was selling the house that you and Vanders were in.
I'm not a big believer in the cosmic alignment of planets makes some things happen, but it seems like this sequence of events that led us to move in together was otherworldly. Like Trenners sold his house. Danielle's mate came back from a trip. She was sort of on the way out of her arrangement, and we found one of Torsten Casper, the good people down at Chisholm and Gammon, now friends of the podcast, got us to the front of this line for an apartment which we just happened to see and really love. So we said, stuff it, why not?
And have you ventured out of the Bayside area yet?
Sorry, where? Outside of the Bayside area, I'm not quite sure. We come to Casey every day for training, so that's not Bayside. That's honestly probably the only time
Is that the only time you ever leave?
I come down and see you sometimes.
Yeah, because of your
Godfather
duties.
But no, we're ducks to water, mate. Ducks to water.
That's exciting. And Gibby?
News from my end?
No, what have you been up to?
I actually got...
You're not just here for the news.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's nice because usually I am just here
We
for the
actually
news.
like to know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
How's Nana Gibby?
She's going well. Someone at BNF came up and asked me, just a fan, asked how she was going, which is a risky question around older people, but no,
Especially in the COVID era.
Yeah, but no, she's fit and healthy, going very
That's
well. I'm sure she'll be listening.
Hello, Nana Gibby.
Yeah, I'm
Do
sure
you have a
she
name?
is. Does she have a name?
Yeah.
Les.
That is
Short for Leslie.
Leslie, yeah.
That is a very, what era? Like 40s, I'm guessing?
She live in Elwood.
She doesn't live in Elwood, no.
My neighbour is...
There's so many Leslies.
I just had to ask, and she's been great to us. So if that was your nanny, then my goodness, that would have been spooky.
We were
Nanny.
She calls herself Gangster Nanny. Leslie, I bet you're not listening. Lives in my apartment building.
Which Leslie are we talking about? It could be the same Leslie.
We were
don't know.
talking earlier about things we were going to leave in last year, things that didn't eventually. I thought potentially Nana Gibson might stay in 2021, but
She's with us the whole way through
She's
ever
back.
since she said she liked Little
Trying to
Women
park
better.
your own granny. That's a terrible family Christmas or a bit of friction or what?
no friction, everything's going well.
Okay. That's good to hear.
So you've been doing what?
Lots of work.
Lots of work.
Yeah, taking photos for you blokes.
Yep.
You've worked the whole way through.
We had a little break over Christmas, got COVID right on
Yeah.
a couple of days after
You had
Christmas.
COVID too,
Not
didn't you,
ideal.
Maxwell?
Yeah, I've never actually said that out loud.
Well, there you go, everyone.
I had COVID. I was
A survivor.
a survivor. Jess gave it to me, which I feel like is one of the worst things a spouse can do. Is
She was probably
hand over a deadly disease that might have tipped me over the edge.
probably flat at you for not waking up in the middle of the night and helping with
George
the kid.
got it as well. He was the best out of a lot of us.
So I don't have it. I'm obviously a genetic freak, and my immune system just doesn't want anything to do with COVID. Did you get any bad symptoms, either of you?
I was pretty feverish.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had it before New Year's. Everyone seemed to get it after. And New Year's, I didn't make it to midnight. I was pretty cooked.
Are you a genetic freak?
Such a freak.
You get a
I've
little,
got
you get a
T
little
cells.
tap, you get a little tap on the head and you're out for 4
T
weeks.
cells. You can see the T cells flying out of my, just radiating off me. If you stand next to me, you'll get an immunity from it.
That's
just from being
topical,
next to me.
actually, your concussion.
Well, let's talk. That's
what were you
also
doing
on
in
my.
Chadston? What were you doing in Chadston?
That's also my welcome back, mate. It's a tabloid made up story when they say Angus Brayshaw
Was in Chadston.
went
That's
to
my
outside
side
of
of the
Bayside.
highway. You go to Southland every day of the week,
Oh,
surely.
mate, Southland's on the Pean Highway. There's half of it that I won't go to. That's on the other side. But that was pretty funny. Speaking of social media, you went, and I'll tell you what, Max, loved what you did. Went out there. Everyone was in uproar about all this stuff going on, and you just opened the legs up, swung, and just clipped one over covers for 4 bigs. With that photo of you and our coach.
Oh, yes.
At the so Reno
At
Hotel.
our local.
I didn't think there was a beer in there.
Not good as local, and it was actually a day before training. A poor time for a wedding on a Thursday. but we thought there'd be a good time to maybe do a photo to show that we're back at the local. Although Goody has now moved back to South Yarra, which disappoints me because he was loving Rye for a little bit there.
The Ninch.
No, it was. I mean, we weren't talking about social media, but I like the jump. It's a basket case of a tabloid sort of story, isn't it? I mean, sorry, Mickey Warner, but it wasn't his best. That's all I've got to say.
Well, I mean, we're probably giving it too much oxygen just by talking about it here, but I just wanted to give you a little pat on the back. Just if we're recapping what's happened.
If you couldn't have a beer with your coach, you're in a bit of trouble, aren't you?
I would have thought. But I mean, what do I know? I just spend all my time at Chadstone and that's about doing stuff there. So no, that's great. What else has been happening?
Anything else? Sport? You like sport?
Oh, well, speaking of coaching debacles, Cricket Australia, which you probably don't really care about.
I don't mind Justin Langer. He came in on a Zoom. I'm not sure if you were on that, Gibby, but he did a Zoom with about 20 of the Melbourne boys, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed his take, his philosophy on coaching, his philosophy on the game of cricket. And I love my cricket. But that was a circus as well, wasn't it?
Big circus.
It was a similar timing. To the
I
circus.
mean, it's an interesting how they sort of ran side by side, and Langer got sacked and Langer got sacked and Goody got backed. It rhymes.
That was our boss just deciding to leave the room with
the pick and choose, which is all right.
You'll have to forgive us because we are rusty. It is our first one back after our 4-month mandated break.
Yes. Paternal leave. You took your paternal leave break.
I took paternal leave and you took your...
golfer's leave. I'm off 6.6 at the moment, so I've come in I can't remember what I was off last we checked in, but I'm a freak at golf as well.
You started at golfer's WhatsApp?
I did, and I added Oscar Baker, much to your amusement.
So you have to have a handicap to be in there.
Yep, which is I think everyone. I'm pretty sure I might have even added someone who didn't have a handicap, so I'll follow that up. But been playing a lot of golf. What else have I been doing? Not a heap, to be honest. But look, I'm excited to be back into podcast. I've got a big space in my schedule, which a podcast size hole, which is about to be filled. I'm very excited for what's to come. And
question for you, before you go into your segment.
Sure.
Sam Wiedemann engaged?
He is.
Are you a chance to be standing one out, one back?
One out, one back. I don't
right
think
next
so.
to him?
Are you going to be? Have you got an invite to the
We've got
wedding?
to save the date. So
Are you an MC potentially?
I don't know if Jamie would want that.
Are you the photographer?
I reckon she'd be scared. I'm not photographer or videographer. He's got those booked in, so I am available for MC duties.
So he's picked something over you?
Yeah, fair.
Probably wants you to just go and have a good time instead of being on duties.
Yeah.
I'd prefer not to work there.
All right.
Fair enough.
What do you got for us? News.
I actually thought we'd start with a recap stats-wise on last year. So I did some digging. You speaking about the Premiership Cup episode. The week before that was Ed Langdon's, and that got across all channels 31,504 clicks, which was a record.
So clicks is like a podcast listen.
For YouTube, website, video, or Spotify. So
Does that cancel out if someone watches it twice?
No.
Because I know Linger's parents watched it about 100 times.
Yeah, they like Ed at a Sticky Fingers concert went more than once and loved it very much.
So like for comparison, the second worst performing episode of the year was Cade Chandler's, and that was around the 5,000 mark. So
did we do a solo Cade Chandler one?
it was a solo one.
Oh.
So
what was the worst?
That was poor. It was Lily Mithen, but to be fair, very early in the year, so it didn't quite have the...
Lil and Ben, huh?
Cade's
Doesn't quite have the clout.
Cade's was more in prime time. So
What about the best one, Premiership
So
Cup?
the best one has gone, so you've gone from Langdon 31,000 to Premiership Cup 70,156.
He was a great guest. Can he be a 2-time guest potentially around September?
Wow, let's make
That'd
that
be
happen.
nice.
71,000. Do we have an average? Is there like
They're
average
huge numbers.
numbers?
I don't have averages, but that's
71,000
huge
is-
numbers. Like 10,000 would probably be a good week.
Okay.
Okay.
So you've gone 70.
We always have good weeks. Well, you'd say the average is about 10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Cade was
every week.
well under.
Well, I mean,
And that's
Cade
why
and
he's
I,
not back.
Cade and I have had a bit of a. I'm still sponsoring him, but there's a bit of turmoil there.
Music to my ears.
He came out on Twitter and said that
I did see that.
and said something bad about my running time trials.
I was ready to get stuck into him.
So there's a little bit of turbulence
Tension there.
I'm hearing breathing space for me in the news.
There is, I reckon, comfortably breathing space at the moment.
Well, you're so far so good. I actually was thinking about this the other day, our average numbers, and that's 71,000.
That's
It's
impressive.
A
It's a lot of
lot of clicks.
The next thing, we're going to talk footy in this segment this year.
Yep.
So we've got a practice match against North on Thursday. First chance for Victorian-based fans to watch in person since the GWS game last year. So big opportunity. Get down to Casey.
That was a loss.
It was a loss. And there was only 16,000 there. So I dare say a lot of Victorian fans haven't seen us since before then.
Are we an outside chance to beat that crowd?
Look, there's a lot of rumour out on the hill. Squeeze them in.
There is a lot of
COVID
parking.
safe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parking. So, members.
We're at
Casey.
11
Members,
o'clock?
sign up, get down. 11 o'clock Thursday morning. If you're not at work, if you are at work, stick K on. You can watch it on
Number
there.
one draft pick.
In action, yeah, for North.
You'll be out
Unfortunately,
there?
not for us. Have you got a prediction? Everyone asks for breakout players. Everyone keeps saying Clary and track. A little bit boring. Have you
Clary
got a left
is.
field?
I just want to get on the record. Clayton looks like Superman at the moment. No one can tackle him. He's insane.
Have you got a left fielder?
Tom Sparrow.
That's not that left field. He's a premiership player.
He's big though.
He's pretty good. What, you don't reckon he's...
I don't mind that. He could have a
Okay.
I think he's going backwards. I know he's giving you a bowl.
Media manager.
That's right. Thank you. We'll keep going. My breakout player. Oh, we've got a very good player in Blake Howes out on the wing. Obviously, the wing is a very competitive position currently with Brayshaw and Langdon. Langdon doesn't even come off, let alone rotate and give Blake Howes a game.
We've actually got a few new candidates for the Wingers Club. Wingers and I were speaking about the other day. We've got you have to play one game, sanctioned game on the wing to be eligible. And then a two-man committee will decide whether you become a part of the club. Look, at the moment,
is Tom McDonald in it?
It is me and Ed Langdon. At
So
the
Tom
moment.
McDonald's not in it?
Oscar Baker was a past member, has now been moved to halfback, so
Yeah, it's
he's
got to
out.
halfback.
And we had Fraser Rossman, who's been sort of a little bit all over the shop in terms of where they've been playing him over the preseason. So at the moment, it's a two-man thing.
And you haven't taken Blake Howes in yet?
As I said, he needs to play a sanctioned game on the wing.
Oh, well, it doesn't sound like that's the only criteria of Sauce Baker and Tom
And they become
McDonald.
eligible. It's like
It's a two-man wing club, and no one's ever else going to get in it.
I don't know.
It's the worst wing club. I've got Matt Jackdaw and Luke Jackson in mind. I've taken Sam Wiedemann. He
I
hasn't
don't
played a
want
game
to. I don't want to give anything away, but I'm saying Blake Howes is he's in the box seat for a green light. And Howsey, I know you're listening.
Because Sauce has played 30 games on the wing.
Yeah, Sauce is playing in the halfback flank.
But he's a winger.
Nah,
His
you've
last
got
game was on the wing.
Max, stick to rucking. I'll stick to running up and down on the side of the ground
Well,
and
not going to
holding
get in the
space.
wingers club. It's the hardest club to get in.
Of course you're not. You're not a winger. But no, Howes does look good, and he's a sandy dragon, which we love.
We do love Dragons.
Availability is strong. Harry Petty, the only one who's on the actual injury list at the moment, 4 to 6, had to have a bit of a clean up in the calf after a corky went
That's
bad.
insane,
But
isn't it?
good opportunity for Tomlinson to come in. Great comeback from his ACL. So
You picking Tomlinson?
I'd like to see him round one. I think it'd be good to see him back in. Worked hard, very fit.
I'd also love to see Tomlinson. Joel Smith will have something to say about that. They're both probably in line for that position. And I actually think a lot of our medium-sized guys can play tall. So it'll be interesting to see which way they go. And if Harry...
Jaden Hunt's got to squeeze back in.
And if Harry Petty... I mean, it's a corky. Come on, round one. We're 3 weeks away. Surely he can get up.
The food's just arrived for lunch here. I'm going to segue that into the talk on Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. Gus, you're not big on Twitter, but Red Rooster no longer at the MCG.
Wow.
There was a bit of uproar about that.
Okay.
Thoughts?
Well,
You probably don't spend too much time sitting in the grandstands watching the footy.
I have a few burner accounts on Twitter, so I know
Yep.
who's doing what and missed that one. So I'm not sure. Is that a massive deal? Red Rooster leaving the
is.
MCG? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crispy strips and chips.
I'd say Red Rooster's one of the more popular ones.
Sure.
It's probably because they have to inflate their price so much to even compete at the gym, and it doesn't look the G, and it doesn't look great for them. Maybe it could be the way out. I'm not sure whose choice was it.
I'm not sure, but they're going fancy. Guy Grossi restaurant in MCC community
Here
room.
he is. Well, you're a food and bev guy, Gawny.
Yeah, but you don't go fancy at the footy.
Nah, well, maybe for the Melbourne supporters. We like the finer things.
It's a sausage. Get the Bunnings barbecue
Barbie
at
onions.
the footy.
Nah, we're talking sponsors later. We'll get to that.
Barmy onions.
We're gonna get to that later.
We're flicking them up.
We're gonna get to that later.
Also on the MCG, so the Victorian government is preparing a feasibility study. They want to knock down the Great Southern Stand, 45,000 seats down. It's going to cost them over $1 billion. Could happen within 5 years. And you'd essentially, for 2 to 3 years, be playing
What
about
for?
half the MCG. They just want to redevelop it. make it new and
Can they
Thoughts on
potentially
that?
put a facility in under it? Like we're talking gym,
did talk about
swimming
that this
pool,
morning.
a little bit of a craft area. I don't want what Collingwood and Richmond have. I just want somewhere at the G. I can get changed. I can lift a dumbbell.
That could be a new. That could be a new initiative. That could be our legacy, our
Yeah.
podcast legacy, getting that off the ground.
We get a facility.
Yeah.
6 people have tried, and you reckon
Mate, we haven't tried.
The 71,000 clicked
Exactly, mate. We could.
podcast is going to move.
So what's that? 71,000 signatures on a petition.
It's
Turns heads.
impressive.
Turn heads.
What oval would we train at?
Could we train on the G? That'd be nice.
Oh, imagine that. Jesus.
So we did speak briefly the other week about who would be a statue out the front of a facility.
Who brought that up?
Well, we would get one if we got the facility off the ground. There would be us with a couple of microphones and then a small gibby.
Gee, I'd be honoured to be put in gold. But no, when
It's bronze, mate. Settle down.
When we were talking about the statue, you weren't included in the statue. We were talking about Max on his own. Do you think he's done enough?
No,
Premiership
absolutely
captain,
not. I'm telling you though, if this
5-time
podcast,
All-Australian.
No. If this podcast gets, then you will have earned it.
Yep.
It'll be the Max. We'll call the whole thing the Max Gorn Centre if you get this.
I
one
love
off
a
the ground.
wing. I love a wing of the new
Oh,
facility.
you got a wing is class. Probably a wing.
No,
is class.
like a wing, like a part of the building, like a wing.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay. I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Max Gorn Media Centre.
Max Gorn Media. So yeah,
Max Gorn Ruckcraft area.
Max Gorn Ruckcraft area. That'd be great. Like one rubbish bin that you hit the balls in Ruckcraft. Just Max Gorn rubbish bin.
The Max
That'd
Gorn
be great
bin.
to have something. I'm
Brilliant.
surprised. Like obviously 2014, there was a senior best and fairest at this very ground. I'm surprised they haven't named that far forward pocket there.
Yeah.
Amazing work.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So watch this space. You reckon is it gonna happen?
Well, they just need to
Let's
get
not
it approved.
speculate.
Over $1 billion. It's
true.
It's going to cost them. Optus Stadium cost 1.8 billion, so it's less than that. But
I mean,
That's a whole stadium,
in this COVID world, we must just have a lot of money, do we? That's good.
Yeah, well, let's carve some away for the Gawny Ruckcraft bin.
also a cricket match coming up later this week.
Huge.
City versus Country.
City v Country.
Huge.
I heard that City v Country's been playing a little bit on the footy field as well, and the winner last week got to.
It was a good toss to win. We
got to
lost the toss.
restrict a player
Yeah.
from bowling 2 overs.
And that was the toss instead of flipping the coin.
so
So they're going to restrict Weeds.
Weeds or Tomlinson.
But
Wiedemann's my man.
Weeds is a skipper, and I can't see him bowling more than 2 overs anyway because he's too nice of a guy. He'll want to
Yeah,
share
so the
load.
country boys have missed there.
Yeah, so give
the
it to
country,
Weeds.
The country boys are also wildly ill-equipped for this cricket game. Bailey Fritsch out, Harry Petty out, and I think there was one more big name that they're missing out on.
Do have Brad Hodge up the top
Yes.
of the order, which will help. Rob
So-
Quiney for the City.
We got Weeds bowling to him.
We got Weeds. We got Weeds coming in off
He's
the
been
10-step
dreaming about
run up.
nicking him off.
Oh, don't worry. I'm not going to give because I know friend of the podcast, Hodgie, and he'd probably be listening, taking notes. So I don't want to tell you what's in store for you, but we've got something. We got something up our sleeves. It's going to be a drubbing because
There is a bit of a rivalry going on between City Country.
well, the rivalry implies that the country have a chance. They've got nowhere near the City team
We
at
won,
any stage.
we won last year, clearly.
Clearly.
Yeah, it was actually a schmozzle of a run chase by the country boys. We got a really strong opening four. Tomlinson and Langdon opening the batting with Harmsy's country. With Mitch Brown and Oscar Baker, 3-4.
Yeah. Source Baker, reigning best on ground.
Reigning best on
Performance.
ground. It's now the Oscar Baker medal, which is going to be exciting. See if he can win it again.
And then we're kicking on to the Max Gorn Memorial Wine Bar.
Yeah, we'll go off to the wine bar for a glass of red.
Yeah, and I've already swung down to the Aldi. They've got the $4 champagne. Bought a case of that for us to celebrate when we won. So
If City win, we'll be spraying something more expensive than $4 champagne.
fair call. So I'll go return that this afternoon and get some proper stuff. And look, it's very exciting. Jim Jordan, ex-captain, got sacked from his job as the country skipper. Then Harry Petty out. They've gone back to Jim Jordan for captaincy, and he's taken it. So they're already it's a dumpster fire over there. The country lads. Jake Lever, who you'd think sucks, but has a beautiful role in that does a fair bit. He's also out. So they've got no spinner, no bowlers, no batsman. It's going to be a
It's
schmozzle.
Australia, Sri Lanka all over again.
Looking forward to it. Matt Henry would be handy just on cricket. You would have been watching New Zealand, South Africa.
was very-
7 for 23. And they made 58 at batting in 11.
It was very bowling-like on his home turf, bringing the stalwart of Canterbury Christchurch cricket, and he comes in and takes 7 for on his home deck, moving away.
Scotty
Against
bowling
South Africa,
style.
if you don't mind.
Not too bad.
But I can't brag too much about New Zealand cricket because we lost to Bangladesh in the first test of the year.
That was.
You got anything else?
That's all from me.
We're going to go to a break, and we're going to come back with what last year looked like and what we're going to turn this year into.
A few loose ends, a few what's to comes, and I'm looking forward to it.
And also just a quick little pump up to our man behind the cameras, Stefan.
Sure, pump him right up.
He's been with us for 3 years now, been doing a super work. Do you know that like we're at Casey Fields and no one likes to come here? Like we get one guy trainer that peeks over the fence, and apart from that, there's literally no one at training. Apart from the day Goody had a pot of his teammates and we had media everywhere.
Yep.
So the media are now asked Stefan to film training and send it up to the media, and he's making a quid out of it.
Are you really?
He's making a little quid out of it.
It's going to come back to the podcast. Let's not chastise him. It's going to come back into the podcast pool. We've got a few new sponsors to talk about. That's actually good news. So we'll circle back to that. Don't think you're off the hook yet, Stefan.
Thanks to our co-principal partner and podcast sponsor, Zurich Insurance. For over 100 years, they've been insuring the people and things you truly love. And just like you, they truly love footy and they truly love the D's.
All right, welcome back. This is where we normally thank our sponsors, but the jury is out on sponsorship this year. Apart from one.
Well,
obviously, the kings of the podcast, the people that really fund the whole thing, Zurich. Mm-hmm. They're super. We love Zurich, and anyone that is in need of insurance.
Yeah, I would. That's a lunch burp. Would recommend going straight to Zurich, and they've got some great stuff. Equally as obvious.
Stinks. Lunch burps.
What did I have for lunch?
Yeah, that's a beef burrito.
It's a beef burrito. Equally as obvious to me is unfortunately Aaron Vandenberg no longer with us. So
which I thought maybe he might stay on, even if he parted ways with the football club. He knows what is his business is getting out of this.
Look, and we. Although I never explicitly heard him mention that anyone took up the buy $100,000 worth of industrial fittings and get 10% off your $101st dollar, I'm sure that the interest generated, as he said, to his, how much is that worth in marketing dollars?
Oh, mate.
He's
just
out.
71,000 clicks.
100%. He's
Not
out,
sure
though.
if you mentioned him in the cup, though.
I think that was a platinum tier sponsorship. He
that
might
was
have been
just-
silver. Anyway, he's gone. So for all those
apparently
people,
it was a heated conversation with Spargs on the phone.
yeah, Spargs has been. Spargs, tip of
He's
the hat,
a little
Spargs.
warrior, mate. He's a little warrior, Spargs.
He's in the trenches, taking grenades, and went to battle for us. Unfortunately, if you were holding your breath or just thinking about going and getting some industrial fittings, you're gonna have to pay the full price. Unfortunately, that's the end of that. But we've got some great sponsors still on board.
Well,
So
Bailey Fritz Electrical's come on again this year and looking to go bigger. So Spargs is in direct conversation with them.
what helps is having 71,000 views. We get to renegotiate a lot of these deals.
How many more lunch burps you got in you?
Well, I mean, I'll let you know when one's coming. We'll probably just cut all this stuff out. Let's be honest, we're not exactly averse to cutting.
Langdon Coffee merch.
Lay Day.
Yeah, so Langdon Coffee merch have dropped off.
Yeah.
But we've added in Lay Day Coffee.
Lay Day Coffee, which is his bespoke coffee brand, instant coffee, premium instant coffee.
Yep.
Spargs is in the works. We'll come back with all this stuff. This is more just an overview of who's joining on. So,
And then Fat Nut Customs
Obviously.
remains a pretty top tier sponsor. We love Harmsy and everything that he brings.
Squash.
And then East End Wine Bar. And then the most topical one, I think, because they haven't posted for 2 years on their Instagram, I actually feel like the account's dead. I'm not sure if anyone's using it, but is if Barbie Youngins is alive. People want to know if Barbie Youngins is alive, what's happening.
Yeah.
I've actually stopped cooking onions. Like I was an onion a day for a little bit, and I've stopped cooking onions. There must be an influx of onions at the supermarkets because no one's cooking them anymore because there's no influencing.
Yeah, look, I mean, you've brought up a soft spot. I'll be honest. It's one obviously close to my heart, brings a tear to my eye, pun intended. And the thing is, I feel like I'm devoting so much of my time. In general, obviously we've had a 4-month absence, but I'm a social media manager elsewhere now. Like, do you want 100? Do you want 100% of me, or do you want 50% of me? So I I think it's a line ball call. I'm probably biased on this, so I'll delegate to you. If you want to keep us on or get rid of us, I would be understanding either way. Cabin. Goody's eco-friendly one that'll come back. He actually spoke to me about it this morning and was begging me to come back on. But
we were thinking about with the controversy that Goody was involved in. We actually thought he was bad brand for our podcast. So we were going to drop him.
But then we sort of thought, potentially any publicity is good publicity. So that's another line ball call. And then, any other businesses we're sort of missing?
Well, one of the last ones, and it probably leads us to our next point, is is for almost 24 months now. We've been plugging Arnott's, and we've been plugging Shapes in particular. We feel like Arnott's have been trying to backstab us with our telling us type setup.
The whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
This has been the potential for a really beautiful relationship where we both get benefit. They've not only stolen the onions shape idea and said barbecue, like instead of barbecue onions, they went like something else onions, tangy onions or something.
So from today onwards,
It's over.
Angus and I are starting a new trend, and it's boycotting Shapes.
So that's that's the forefront of that's the tip of our spear.
We haven't had a shape now for 2 months, and it's killing me. It's killing me every day. I just want a savoury shape stuck in the back of my throat.
I'll be honest with you. Today, at the moment, this is the first time I've thought about it in 3 days, which is the longest I've gone so far. And I'm now getting Shapes pangs, but I'm fighting them. And I want you to know, podcast listeners, that this isn't something that we want to do. And podcasting isn't always pretty.
Yeah.
There's some hands in the mud stuff which you don't see, and this is it right now. So we're boycotting Shapes. They've deserved this. It's been 24 months, so we're sick of them. And
Shapes done.
Forget them. Forget Shapes.
A few other sort of loose ends. Don't want to say loose ends too much because that is a Hamish and Andy probably copyrighted term, but we're going to use it. There's a few things that we've started over the last 2 years that we haven't finished.
Plenty of stuff. Segments come to mind. We've had blokes.
Well, the
who-
Adam Tomlinson segment, for those that listen to the Adam Tomlinson episode, we thought Rico going to have a lot of downtime.
Spare time, yeah.
Let's get him in, and his strength was gossip.
Let's put our arms around him.
Yeah, like he loves Married at First Sight and Survivor and all that stuff. So we could bring him in. We didn't speak to him, let alone get him on the podcast again for the rest of the year. So
I actually think he went and tried to get went out of his way to not speak to us. So that's done. Harmsy had one where he
we said Harmsy was going to sing every episode. We asked him, do you want to keep coming in and singing? We also haven't spoken to Harmsy since that day.
Majak came up to me one day and said, I want a weekly joke segment where I'd come on and tell a joke. And I said, well, do you have any jokes? He said, no, I'll go think of them. And he never came back to me either. So the Majak joke segment, which never even got near off the ground, is dead.
And the one big one.
This is a big one, which we sort of touched on a little bit earlier.
Well, I'm not sure if you're on the same big one. Is book club.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, I'm not. That's so dead.
So book club, when we went 3 weeks for this, did we?
Yeah, I was never convinced that it would take off personally.
Well, I thought it was. And then Lingers
Oh,
has
Toon Ling.
brought in basically the Bible.
Ling
And
is
said, read
a
this.
300 chapter book. And admittedly, some of the chapters were 2 pages long, but you pick up a 300 chapter book, that's a tough read. And it was, notwithstanding the amount of chapters, it was just a really bad read.
And how many people read it?
3, Jack Viney.
So Jack Viney read it.
Jack Viney audio booked it, which is, at this point, we're taking anyone we can get.
Yeah.
I read it. Lingers read it. And
then no one.
And then Vanders, who, is no longer with us, but said, just give me an extra couple of weeks. And then an extra couple of weeks turned into 4 months, and then it was just done. And that's obviously...
So has the WhatsApp or the text message group continued and got rid of the people? Or is it
it all died. It all died. I pushed it for a couple of weeks, and at the end of the day, as I've touched on, podcast duties, trying to keep the onion stuff alive. I've got no time, so I just gave up book club. It's not worth my energy, so that died hard.
So Lingers killed book club.
Both simultaneously gave birth to it and killed it, which is interesting.
And now, obviously, onto Lingers.
Soon.
And that's been a great journey as well. And we feel like we got a lot, opposite to Shapes, we got a lot out of it.
Yeah, that was one of our that'll be in our legacy.
We were able to donate to charity.
We shouldn't really be talking about, but we made some shirts. We had some great interaction with you guys. You all loved it.
I still see some positive Lingers tops floating around.
I see a good amount. I walk around and I still wear mine. I haven't seen you wearing yours.
But what we're going to do is we feel like it's time to move on from positive Lingers.
I think it was John in the Gospel of John. He said, if you love something, you have to let it go. And we obviously love what the positive Linger stuff's been about. He's a peacock. Sometimes you just got to let him fly. So we're letting that one out of the cage.
Can we have a Bible reference every podcast, please?
For those who read the Bible and are familiar with John, I'm not exactly sure. I think I've just pulled that one out of thin air. But, that we're just going to let that one.
So we're not sure where we're going to go. It could be another player that we get around.
It could be Happy E.
And early on, we're thinking Sauce Baker could be someone we get around.
He needs some love.
Sauce Baker, I mean, we had him on for a serious podcast around BCNA, which is a great podcast as well. We need to bring him on for a funny podcast because I think people would like Sauce Baker.
Yeah, he's got a lot to offer. So, look, that's not confirmed.
But Easy could be where we go as well.
Easy E's a cheap one.
And we feel like Langers gets something out of it. He goes out and plays good brand of football because of what he gets during the week.
He also needs social media attention for his burgeoning coffee merchant business. So, look, I think watch this space.
But the segment Positive Lingers is gone.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything positive anymore. He's actually turning into be a bit of a grumpy old wingman again.
Maybe that's the angle. Anyway.
Guests. We're going to have some guests in this year.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to have guests when...
Rap test upon arrival.
Yeah.
Got one for $100 the other day. Early on, we're thinking maybe some in-house guests. Just to...
Makes it easier, doesn't it?
Does make it easier. Don't need to rap.
Well, we all rap at home, Max, don't we, before we come in? So.
And the first one we
have a lunch burp?
The first one we're thinking is potentially, for some reason, over 2 years, we haven't had the vice captain, Jack Viney, in. Probably for good reason, but we're going to see if we can get something out of Jack.
Yep.
So right now, DM Gus on Instagram. If he's still running the Gus and Gawny Instagram, I hope he is.
I am. I've taken some content from today just to send to the people.
Give us some questions for Jack because we cannot think of too many.
Yeah, send them in. Please, feel free to.
Yep.
We put that out on the story the other day. Haven't had anything in yet, so if there's anything that comes to mind, feel free to send it through.
Tell us guests you want to have on. I understand we haven't spoken to many of the first or second year players, so we'd love to have a Jake Bowie or Disco Turner.
Yeah, he would be good. He actually helped me the other day with some plumbing stuff, Disco, so...
There's about 7 of them living at the Brayshaws.
Yep, there is.
So, yep. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on, which we touched on a little bit earlier, was Chandler.
That's the elephant in the room.
Yeah. I think we can...
You said breathing room earlier. I probably tend to agree with you. I feel like, Gibbo, you've survived the internal review, which there's a lot to say for that, but also... you've nailed today. I've got no complaints. You've come correct, which is good to see. Chandler's obviously put himself a few steps behind.
I think we need to have a learnt love stronger, which is the new version of stop, start, keep. There's now learnt love stronger, which is nicer to say.
Yeah, sure.
This is nice personally for me. Like Chandler's been a bit of an elephant on my back.
Yeah.
I was playing cricket 2 weeks ago, batting, and a bloke in first slip says to me, better make some runs or Chandler will take the spot in the batting lineup. So
that
nice.
Well, in that case, maybe Chandler's got some street cred and we should keep him.
So look, I didn't know that, Gibby, but we'll go back to the drawing board. We'll talk a few things, and I think we have to give Chin his right of reply. But I think you're ahead in the stakes at the moment, which is positive. That's probably all the loose ends we've really got jotted down. Can you think of any others? You got any others, Gibby?
I'm happy. I think it's been a strong start.
Yep, okay.
35 minutes, which will please Nana Gibby.
Yeah, she obviously hates anything over 38, so we're super conscious of that.
We'll be back with a guest next week, hopefully Vines, but hopefully not at the same time.
Yeah, it's a
if you
weird
give
one.
us some questions, that'll help us.
Yeah, get the social media going. Look, I think this has been a resounding success. I think, we should be realistic with ourselves as the first one back. A little bit of rust early, but boy, oh boy, we just went from strength to strength, and it's like a duck to water.
And can someone send me Titus O'Reilly's number? I want him on as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much.